Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Leslie and Lily, the podcast for business owners as they are navigating themselves through the digital sphere. I am owner of Lily Rose DMA, Leslie, and today on our podcast, we have the wonderful, the talented, the gorgeous entrepreneur, Miss Ronda Jackson, owner of Studio D Contract LLC. Hey, Rhonda, how you doing?
Hi, Leslie. How are you? I'm doing excellent, thank you.
I'm doing very good. Being transparent, I'm a little tired, but I'm also hype on the inside because I'm really excited for everybody to meet you and for them to see the type of business that you have. Because honestly, when we talked before, I was like, oh, I never even thought about this. So, can you let our audience in on the secret of what is your business?
My business. So I'm Ronda Jackson, serial entrepreneur. I own a interior design firm as well as a Benjamin Moore paint store, which is Studio D. So I'm interior designer, serial entrepreneur, color enthusiast, and community impactor. I like to add on to that.
Yes, yes, yes. So, what made me stop and want to know more about you was when you said that you owned a paint store. You're like, Benjamin Moore. Yeah. It's like, well, yeah, everyone knows that name, and so, I mean, it makes sense because you do interior design and things like that. But did you always say as a little girl growing up, I'm gonna own a paint store? That's on my bucket list. That's what I want to do.
When you put it that way, not exactly. But what I did say was after growing up and looking forward into my future,
Mm,
what else can I do that keeps me connected to my passion, which is design and color and beautiful
mm.
spaces, but also allows me some later in life flexibility and freedom, something I could do that didn't necessarily physically require me. And that's kind of what brought me to the Benjamin Moore brand.
That's awesome. So you said you wanted something that was going to connect you to your passion, and that is interior design. So can you tell us a bit about your journey into being an interior designer?
Oh my goodness, absolutely. Thank you for asking. So, I actually started out pursuing a career as a pediatrician. So, I grew up in the Cosby decade. I was either going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher, right? So,
Yeah.
I was very intent and set on being a pediatrician. And while doing that, I was working my way through school doing window displays.
Mm,
And I had an interior at the time I didn't know she was, but an interior designer come in, asked me to help her with a few things. She liked the beds that I put together. And then about 3 or 4 times, I'm wondering how big this house is. Where is she putting all this stuff that she's buying? And then she explained to me that she was an interior designer and what her project she was working on, and that the clients loved the things that I had put together for them. And I should really think about a career in interior design.
wow.
And I thought, okay, that sounds nice, but who's going to tell my mother that she's not going to have a doctor? I mean, there was a bigger issue here other than me changing fields of study. But what I did was I took an intro class as an elective and just got hooked. It was art, it was science, it was math. And at the end of the day, I was definitely helping people. So when it
Wow.
kind of congealed and made itself into that, I felt really good about pursuing it as a career. And lo and behold, a couple decades later, here we are. So she's
S-
done.
No, keep going. Keep
Oh
going.
no, I was just gonna say she's, done everything from household, kitchen, and bath, had features on
Mhm.
HGTV, done some work for the studios. So just a full gamut in the realm of interior design.
So we're not just going to go past the fact that you said that you've had features on HGTV. Okay. As somebody who watches HGTV and who's just like one day, like, oh, this is so nice. Like I've learned so much from that channel about everything. I'm like, when I flip a house, I'm gonna do this. Ooh, this is the paint color I was like. So
Right.
how was that when you were able to be featured? Was it a dream come true, or were you like, did you have to pinch yourself like, "Oh my god, this is real?"
Yes and no. So
Mm.
part of me was like, "What? Who?" I'm not in anybody's acting guild. I never took television as this is pre-reality TV. So I didn't
Right.
think real people were on television. So it was just like, "But I'm not an actress. But I'm not an
Mm.
actress." Like why would they want to pick me? So once I got over that and really took the opportunity to display my wares and really show people what my potential was as an interior designer. I appreciate the expose. To this day, I have family
Mm.
in the South that'll be like, "Your episode was on the other day. We saw you."
Oh,
And so, I don't know where it's in syndication somewhere in the ethos, but I'll get little pings every now and again. But definitely an honor.
yeah.
Would that, kill for airtime like that nowadays in the age of social media and digital marketing.
Right.
But definitely it was a huge opportunity for me.
No, that's awesome. So, honestly, if I was sitting here and I was listening to this and I was like, okay, so I'm an interior designer. Obviously, Miss Rhonda, she knows what she's doing because she was able to be on TV, whether it was past, present, hopefully it will be in my future. What what advice or how did you even get to this point? You've been in business for a very long time. And
Mm,
so one of the things that I like to talk about on this podcast is the journey, right? Because it's not always rainbows and butterflies. Sometimes, most times it's more hustle and more grit and then you get to see the pretty curated things that we put out, but behind the scenes it can be a bit tougher. So
mhm.
if you are mentoring somebody who maybe wants to get into interior design, what are some things that you would have them start with?
I would start well, let me tell you, one of the things that I did, even aside from all the, fun of doing interior design, was I actually
Mhm.
called around to professional organizations and really large design firms to
Mhm.
ask what they would hire for, what they were looking for, how long had they been in business. So, really, if you're pursuing this or any other type of creative field, find out what's happening in that industry. What are
Mhm.
the trends? Are people still hiring? Is there a market? Are luxury fabrics or whatever your
Yeah.
clientele that you're marketing to, your target market, are they still looking for those things? Are
Mhm.
factories closing, especially nowadays? With stuff staying here in the US? Is it going away? So I would really ask them to hone in on what that industry is doing, and maybe attend some of the trade shows and get a feel for what's happening at the market. If you go to a trade show and there's only two people there, I would kind of rethink it. The other beautiful thing about interior design, and I'm sure this is true in other fields as well, is what part of the industry you want to participate in. Like when I was in design school, I didn't realize all the small things that have to happen in
Yes.
order to bring a room to life or a space to life. Every single one of those things is a career path. Like my dream job, I want to name Crayola crayons. Like I want to come up with the crayon names. That's like, yes, that
That is so whimsical. I love it. I love it.
that
That's up there with I wanna be an ice cream taster,
Ex
like, I wanna do that.
exactly. So if I could but if you look at all of those things, where is it you thrive? Where's your zone of genius?
Mhm.
And then what's happening in that segment of the industry is how I would direct or guide someone to how they wanted to participate in specifically interior design or
Yeah.
construction or anything like that. And not so much, just the big and it doesn't have to be in an entrepreneurial way, I guess is what I was trying to say.
Mhm.
That you can go and be color picker, color namer, fabric selector for, these larger entities, find a very robust career in that.
Yeah.
Other than just entrepreneur. I think a lot of times people think interior design and they think, at home, work for yourself type stuff, but there's a whole, big industry, a big career around that.
I wanna stop there for a second, and you brought out 2 really good points. I feel like right now, more than ever before, especially on social media, you see, like, hustle culture, and you
Mhm.
see it's like, go and like be an entrepreneur and have your own and do all these things. And the truth is, not everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants to be the person that owns the business, but they wouldn't mind working for someone who owned a business. They don't want to do, a normal office job, but as you're saying, like you're the one who's kind of the runner, like you're the assistant. You get to go out and do these things, and you're still being able to be in an industry that is fun and creative and that can spark things. And I just wanted to point that out because even though this is a podcast for entrepreneurs and for business owners, I mean, nowadays you kind of have to think of yourself as a brand, whether you own a business or you don't. So you're always selling yourself like to your next employer. It's like I'm showing myself, you're showing your value, right? And
Yes.
there are ways that you can have your adult life, your working life. It can be fun if you find little pockets within your industry where you naturally thrive. There are people that are better at front facing jobs where like they're always on, they're always happy. There are other people. One of my really great friends, her dream job was to be a data analyst. She's like, all I want to do is have my own office and just put numbers in a computer all day. She's like, Leslie, do you know how much of heaven that is? And I was like, do you know how much I would cry if I had to do that? Like, oh my God, 8 hours of just putting numbers in. I'm like, I am not a calculator. Okay. We don't do this at all. But
No.
everybody has a different dream.
Mhm.
And so even in the marketing industry, there's so many different things that you can do. You can do digital, you can do creative marketing, like you can do email, content creation, you could work at a radio station and you are marketing them, like you're bringing in people to the radio station, like for any gig or anything like that. So there's
Yeah.
multiple ways of marketing, and what you said, Rhonda, was wonderful. Chef's kiss. We love
Ah,
it. We love it.
yay.
Yes.
So many facets, so many facets. And then, as you know, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart
No.
at all. The faint of anything. I was thinking when you first asked me the question, I was like, okay, how did I start? And what came to mind was prayer,
Mm,
plastic, as in credit cards,
mm.
and then, and hope eventually the profit from the
Yeah.
business. But, sometimes you just start off with that gleam in your eye and the faith and belief that this is going to work. But I think that now with the internet and all the advent of a lot of the technology that we have, that you don't have to go at it number one alone, and that you
Mhm.
don't have to go at it with a blind eye. Like literally, my first business card, I didn't even know that I was supposed to put my name on the card. It was like a phone number. And it said Interior Design, but it was a business card. How many business
Right?
cards had I held at that time? So, I had no idea. So, but you evolve, you grow. But
Mhm.
I think from all of that, and where you can Google stuff, you can search stuff, you see samples, and there's so many wonderful examples of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship and thriving businesses and thriving brands, like people brands, like you brought up
Yes.
earlier. That a person is starting definitely from, at least if we were starting from the dugout 10, 20 years ago,
Oh,
you can at
yeah.
least get somewhere between first and second base now. Like you're not all
Mhm.
the way started from the beginning. So
Yes, that's one of the things that make me really happy about the internet, I would say, because where other people might not have gotten opportunities, like people have learned to really master it and show themselves and why they are the best person for whatever field that they're in. And people have learned to have, like a public profile and then like private ones that are more
yeah.
personal for themselves. And that's always interesting to see like how other entrepreneurs who have, been doing this longer than I have, how talking to them about their journey. I remember my former boss before I started my own company. I asked him one day while I was working for him. I was like, "Okay, so you've been in business for over 20 years. What advice would you give somebody who was just starting their business?" And one of the things that he said was recognize that it might take you 3 to 5 years to truly make money, you know? So he's like, it's hard. Like you're hustling, you're always hustling. The money that you're making is going back into your business, back, like you have taxes, you have people to pay, you have all these other things that you're doing. But if you
Mhm.
can stick it out, if you can have something that you really do enjoy, then you can have a successful business. And it
Right.
definitely seems as though you are doing things that you enjoy
Very much.
because you're talking about you're talking about your job and you're just like, "Yeah, okay, so I did this," and you still have such a glow on your face, which is great because most people are like, "You know, it is what it is." Yes.
No, I think, I mean, even as, and now I'm gonna go woman entrepreneur in this part of what I'm
Mhm,
about to say, and maybe men do this too, but I don't know this. I think that we evolve, and I think women, to me, or at least I have taken the time to evolve with myself, right? So
mhm.
as I learn more, what do they say in the Bible? When you know better, you do better, or what my grandmother anyway used to say. I don't know if but if you know better, you do better. So every time I had an opportunity to learn and grow, and I'm constantly learning and growing, I give myself that space to kind of just reignite and rekindle the things that I have a passion for. And I'll do a little, 20-second checkup from the neck up and ask myself, are you still enjoying this? And the
Mhm,
answer better be a resounding yes. Otherwise, I'm going to tweak something. So,
mhm.
are those the things? Like before, I was very, very hands on in my business. And I got to a point where I didn't necessarily have to be the one to go to the post office every day, or I didn't necessarily have to be the one, to call on, blah, 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 or whatever.
Right.
So, as I was able to break off and create jobs within my company, then that's also the excitement and the fulfillment you see. I get to introduce not just myself to a project, but I get to introduce a team of people, which hopefully
Mhm.
reassures customers and makes them feel like they're going to get the best service, and that all these areas are being watched and covered and taken care of on their particular projects and jobs. So I do have enthusiasm for different reasons, maybe from 20 plus years ago, but
Yeah.
even now it definitely still brings me joy.
Well, I think that's great. I think a lot of entrepreneurs have an issue with delegation. Because you know that everything is on your shoulders, right? So, like, I
Mhm.
need this to be a success because if it doesn't, then my business fails. And so you have some people that turns into micromanagement. You have other people that they give everything away and they know nothing of what is going on in
Mm,
their business.
mhm,
But they also aren't willing to listen to the people that they hired who are telling them things that are wrong. And then you have people, like they're learning along the way. They're seeing things that they can let go of, and they're seeing things that no, I did let go of this, but actually I feel more comfortable holding this, but you can hold this other thing for me and
mhm,
I'm fine. And it's a toss up on each day because you might have a client that comes in that prefers to talk to you than a team member. And if you have a relationship with them, that goes way back, then you're willing to make, the sacrifice and say, okay, for them, I will. Nobody else. Don't put anybody else on my schedule.
No, you know what? I actually have to regulate myself and
Mhm,
and not do that. I have to remind myself, and this is what I say out loud, the way we work best. The way we
mhm,
work best. So it's not just about me. And then I feel like, especially as the business owner or the leader of my organization, every time I take exception to my own rules,
mhm.
then I'm leaving room for everyone else to take exception to whatever, whether I see it or
Right,
not see it. So I try, like, if I do it for one person, or if I do it, I try to make sure it's something that I can be consistent with, because I think that's
right.
I think people talk about this in a lot of entrepreneurial books, the discipline and the consistency that it takes to be a business owner is crucial. It's really, really
Yeah.
important.
Yes. Discipline and patience are
Mhm.
things that I feel like, honestly, I am naturally good with both of these in certain areas, right?
Okay.
And that's everyone. That's everyone. It's just like you could care less or like it's not that big of a deal. But honestly, in the very beginning, and maybe it's just because I'm a millennial, born in the 80s, hey, hey. But when you go from when you go from going to school, getting your degree, and then when our market crashed in 2008, and then having to move back into your parents' house and having a quarter life crisis, and honestly feeling like a failure, like watching my peers who have masters working at McDonald's because nobody's hiring them because they have too much education and they don't want to
Right.
pay them what they're worth, then sometimes, at least for me, and you can tell me if it's like this for you, panic sets in. And it's
Mm,
like, I need this to work yesterday. So we got to do this. And then I have to take a step back and it's like, you're not thinking, you're reacting,
mhm.
and you just need to breathe, or you've become so panic filled that now you're doing nothing and you actually need to do something. So let's write down everything we need to do and let's pick something. And let's put stuff on the list that we've already done. Look at us. We woke up, we washed our face, we brushed our teeth. Check that.
Bed
Check
made.
that.
Bed
Listen,
made.
you are winning life. Yes, 100%.
I
So
love you.
I
She said right eye, left eye, right eye.
you better put down these things, make yourself feel good. Okay. So that you can do something else.
Yes.
But I mean, have you felt like that? Obviously, like you've been here for a while, like you've had your 20 years. Like I'm looking up to you. I'm just like, okay, one day, like I'm on your, 3 years in for me.
Um, well, the answer is yes. Obvious well, not obviously, but yes. I don't
Mhm.
paint this to be all roses. There were many a times I've supplemented my path with whatever was available. I've
Right.
done my artistry lends itself to some creative writing and graphic design and whatever. So at the time, if it kept the lights on, I had no problem doing it within reason and legality, but
Mhm.
I had no
Yeah.
problem doing it. I think the other thing to your point about like the panic and the is this the right thing? I'll just step back and ask myself, like, okay, is this going to matter in a day? Is this going to matter in
Mhm.
a week? Is it going to matter in a month? Is it going to matter in a year? And that scale gives me some settling in on where it lies on the list of priorities and things that I can just let go of. And the other new question, this is new, am I the right person to continue to do this?
Mm.
Right. So here's that outsourcing conversation. Here's that, I like, because the skill set that it took to start my business is not the skill set that it takes to run this and multiple businesses. Right.
Right.
So I think sometimes, am I learning the lesson? Like, what's this lesson that I'm supposed to learn here? And sometimes that lesson has been that I'm not the right person to be doing this particular job or this particular skill set. And that's when I have to, allow myself to open up and trust. I think that's the other
Mhm.
word that we forget to mention as entrepreneurs because, it's your baby, it's mine,
Right.
you got to trust somebody with your baby or some need that your baby has, your business baby, and allow them in to help you take care of those things to continue to scale and grow your business.
That's very true. I think I shared with you off camera before in our first conversation that that's what I did last year. Honestly, I was looking at end of year things in the business and I was looking at what I really liked. And then I said, I'm only going to do consulting work from now on.
Mhm.
So for me, it's more of consulting and podcasting because I love helping people understand how to market. I love coming up with strategy on how to do this, coming in and saying, hey, I can see what you're doing wrong. And let me show you how to do it right. Here's the blueprint. Here are even some examples of like posts that you can put up. Like, I don't even mind necessarily creating like a few like content creation
Mhm.
for like let's say here's the month or like this is what we're doing because these are the campaigns that we want to run and this is how you need to approach your business for this quarter in order to reach your goals and stuff like that, but
Right.
being the one that's doing everything, um I was like that's great and that's wonderful but it doesn't bring me joy like it used to. And also being able to consult is also giving me more time to podcast. It's giving me more time to meet more entrepreneurs such as yourself. and learn from you and your journey as well as be able to share my own. And this, you guys, my lovely audience that is listening, hey, hey, boo, hey, how you doing? This is also a part of marketing. It is called networking, and I will continue to talk
Mm,
about networking forever because most businesses get a lot of business from referrals. So it is extremely important to have an online presence. It's extremely important for people to be able to find you. You need to be Googleable, right? But I know so many people who are just like, "Oh yeah, Leslie's great," and they send them my way. Like
mhm.
more than all the ads that I've put out or more than all those things, it's from talking with people and, like, "Let me show you some stuff." Sure. Here it is. And it's wonderful. So tell me, Miss Rhonda,
Okay.
what are some things that you have been doing to market yourself and your businesses?
Well, I love that you mentioned the social presence,
Mm,
because that's definitely been pivotal. Because you don't realize, well, I didn't realize how many people Google you. How many
mhm.
people try to check, is she or he who they say they are? And
Yeah.
I think Google is the best way to prove, not prove, what's the word I want to use? Your credibility, right? It's all
Social
right
proof.
there. Social proof, thank you.
Yeah.
It's all right there. And then you have, this backlog of folks. I think I worked with a PR firm, AUPR, for quite a bit, and she did a wonderful job of getting us in print. We were in Entrepreneur Magazine, we were published with Time. So, things that I have to be who I say I am in order to,
Right.
make it to those things. And then also saying yes to a lot of local things that have bigger presence than I do. So, being
Mhm.
affiliated with different chambers and speaking opportunities like this here on your podcast, I think have been very pivotal to us because at least for me, with interior design, being able to touch a variety of areas of business. I mean, we have our key areas that we like, but you never know. Like
Right.
I had during you mentioned the 2008, I call it 2000 and oh no, I had to
Mhm.
pivot out of residential interior design because people were like, "What is happening right now? This, I don't want to change anything. Just, come back next year." So I went into commercial, but I actually went home with some of the executives. Like some of the executives liked what I did in their offices, and so they were hiring me for their houses. So, to your point about, creating those and nurturing those relationships,
Yes.
and then I won't say you never know because you do know because you're always planting seeds,
Yeah.
and hopefully the intent of the seeds are to grow, but you don't
Mhm.
exactly know when it's going to come up out of the ground. So when
Yes.
those when those planted seeds start growing and relationships start blooming, you're positioned. I think that's one of the ways I ended up being nominated as a candidate for the Small Business Commission here in the city of LA. It was someone, that I had a rapport with and put my name down, that put it for something else, and then later on told me that they signed me up for it. But I accept I accept the charge. So when you just don't know whose room your name is in. So I think
Right.
that's what the social proof and the social media and having, the
Mhm.
marketing, to your point earlier, your personal brand as well as your business.
Yes, and that can be difficult because, you know, you put a lot of things out there, right? And so you can see the impressions that things have made if you go into your analytics. You can see how many people have looked at this, but maybe no one has liked or commented or, shared. And then I've had people who I haven't seen in years. And I mean, like, since I was a teenager, they're like, "Oh my God, I have been watching you and I see all the stuff that you're doing." And then I end up getting a job from them, even though they've never liked anything I've done.
Mhm.
They've never shared it. But it's like they were waiting on the opportunity or like, you know what? Now I can use you. Like people keep you in mind. And I have to refer to that because you're going to have fat months, fat years, and you're going to have lean months and lean years. And to your
Yes.
point of, as you said earlier, you're like, I took other jobs I needed to take. I'm still creative. I'm still doing the things I need to do. And there's no shame in that. Like we all are out here trying to survive. And as long as you find a way to keep going, and we're not doing anything illegal, then I think that it's a good thing. So, can you
Mhm.
tell us, at the beginning of your journey compared to now, like there were different marketing things that you have done.
Mhm.
So, what are some things that what's some advice that you can give somebody who is trying to get a interior design business off the ground? Maybe some things that are cheap or free, and then some things that maybe when they end up getting some more money, some more ways that they could market themselves.
So you made me smile because when I first started my business and before gurus like yourself were so readily available for consult or content, I took those business cards that I told you about earlier that did not
Mhm.
have my name on them, and I actually put them on, and I didn't realize this is what I was doing, but I had in my head that the kind of people that would hire me drove Mercedes, they drove BMWs, they
Mm,
drove Range Rovers. So I went around and put my business card on the types of cars that I could envision in the driveway of my future customers.
okay.
And people called me. It was not crazy because obviously I didn't do it for no reason, but,
Right.
called and I mean, at that time, it worked. Like, "Okay, who are you and what is this?" And, I have a and my name of the company is Decor for my interior design, and people thought that they had heard of me. So I don't know what else was out there that was called Decor or something like that, but, so that was like grassroots, like, didn't
Wow.
cost any money other than my time, essentially,
Mhm.
which, in different phases of your business, you have more time than money or more money than time. So you
Correct.
kind of have to leverage, which one is available. I think that I still do to this day. My youngest son and I, we do this in some of the larger parking lots of supermarkets and things like that. If we see a construction truck, my Studio Deep, my Benjamin Moore paint business cards, they're magnetic. So if I see a work truck out there, just so you know, it's magnetic. But I'm putting the, free delivery, Benjamin Moore,
Yeah,
volume discount on the sides of these work trucks because I, that you spoke earlier about analytics, but not all of these workmen work persons are online. They're not all on
correct.
my Instagram or they haven't found me. And sometimes out in the field. So I think I still
Mhm.
to this day do a combination of grassroots. It doesn't cost any money. I'll pay for an ad in a booklet for a real estate company, which to me is an adjacent industry to interior design. So I
Mm,
look for who needs me before they need me and who might need me after. So, if you're into, baby rooms or, you have this
mm.
passion for very soft design, maybe go to wedding, what do you call them? Wedding trade shows, because pretty much
Yeah,
they're gonna get married, they're gonna end up having babies. So, think about the life cycle of the business that you'd like to be in, and then who's a part of that life cycle. So newlyweds are having babies,
right.
newlyweds are buying houses, they're going to need to shop for furniture. So you just kind of have to think about the evolution of a person's lifestyle and where you fit into it.
So what I heard was community at the very
Mhm.
end.
Yeah.
Because I feel like people have been doing this for years, it's like depending on the neighborhood you go to, it's just like, oh, you know, hey, I own a bakery and you have a coffee shop. So can I sell some of my baked goods in here, and we both get a profit off of it? Or hey, do you want to bring over this person that I'm doing a cake for? They also are kind of doing a sort of a luncheon and they need coffee. And I told them that this is the best, place in the city. So they're coming to you. They want to shop local, do all those things. So that's always a wonderful thing as well. Um, Building that up, doing grassroots, doing community, with your
Mhm.
magnetic business cards and all those things. Those are wonderful
Don't
things that
judge.
you could
Don't
do.
judge me.
Oh, I'm not judging. I think it's beautiful. That's something I would do.
Right?
Listen, I am
Right.
not I'm like, I am a marketing consultant and I am also a speaker. Okay. And I tell people this everywhere I go. I'm like, hey, I give talks on marketing and I show you how to strategize. And I also do a motivational talk. And I tell
Mhm.
people, about how to keep going. Life does and it can get better. And I am proof of that. And so, I'm okay with saying this. And that comes with, I guess networking more and talking to more people. Because in the very beginning, you're like, Hi, excuse
Mhm.
me," but you become more confident within yourself the more that you do things. So now that you are more established, what are some things that you are doing besides the grassroots things to market
Mhm.
yourself and your business?
I want to say, let's see, what do I do? I was trying to think of what I do consistently because I get these little brainstormy ideas of, I know, t-shirts. I know. Let's do. And my staff is looking at me like, what does she want to do now?
Uh,
So yeah, she's still one of those. You have some work to do on me, Leslie, but she's still one of those. Let's see, what do I do? I think consistently we do post, probably not the regimented, every day, 5 times a day posting, but we do get out
mhm,
there. I'm hosting a lot more things in my showroom,
there you go.
industry events. We had a job fair last month, really promoting entry level, well, not just entry level, but construction careers. So more, I think my heart is where the community is. So I think that's
Awesome.
my biggest thing, because I don't know who's father is a contractor, whose uncle or brother is or sister is a
Mhm,
contractor. So I try to get myself out there from where people need you, right? So
mhm,
sometimes that's at a job fair, sometimes that's at promoting a specific product. I do a lot of not necessarily pro bono, but we do support a lot of causes as well. So a lot
mhm,
of there are homeless shelters and things like that, and churches and people that need paint or need to otherwise use our product. Those that document and that email goes through enough hands where people, I think, see your spirit and they see your intention for business, and people tend to want to support things that they believe in as well. So I think that's been a really good one for us, in addition to your
yeah.
normal social media and things like that.
No, I think that that's wonderful. The fact that you're using your studio and you're, outsourcing it, right? So it's just like, hey, like I have a space. And then by the way, you like how I decorated this space? Like you need somebody
Mhm,
else who needs help with that.
mhm,
Something that I also tell people, especially businesses that have employees, is that your employees are such a great place to start for your marketing needs because they're the ones, especially if you have younger employees, they know how social media works, right? And they are definitely on TikTok. They're definitely on YouTube. They're definitely on Snapchat and all these things. And so maybe you yourself are not interested in being on camera, right? You have a lot of people who are like, "No, no, I'm good. No one needs to
mm,
see me." Or you're just nervous. You can actually use your employees, you can say, "Hey, today, I would like you guys to do a, show behind the scenes of what we're doing. Or it could be, come with me as I go out, and it's like I'm going out to get some paint samples because we're about to actually go, design this new house, and it's amazing.
right.
And so now what you're doing is you can have them, you can have your own, obviously your own social media. You can allow them to tag themselves as well, like make sure that their social media, the one that they're using, like that they're tagging in, is like it's on brand with you. It's like you can create a new one so that I'm not where there's no
Yes.
issue there. But
Mhm.
you have people that naturally, because they've grown up with this, they know how to create a story. They know how to, they already see themselves as brands. So that's a
Mhm.
natural resource that you already have. And it's also fun, and it's a way to break up the work monotony. And so if you're here and you're saying, "Hey, you guys, I'm here." They're doing snaps and they're doing like funny pictures and they're laughing and they're joking. If you have a space as big as yours and you're doing like the latest TikTok dance or trend or something like that,
Mhm.
it makes
Mhm.
it so that they can kind of goof off, quote unquote, at work, but they're also working. And
Yeah.
then it gives them, your employees, it makes a better, work life balance for them. And then coming into work is a little bit more fun because you can say, "Hey, we're doing this and like we have it scheduled, and what do you guys think about that?" And that way you're not just reaching your current demographic, but if you want your businesses to grow, you're also bringing in a younger audience because you do have people that are younger, that are entrepreneurs, that have been making like they make like 17 grand a month because they have learned how to flip clothes or they have their own Shopify store or whatever. And so there is a market for people for your business that are younger. And if you speak to them in the language that they understand, then they will definitely come to you because you're
Yeah.
actually using people who understand the same language. So
Yep, very
that is
much.
all. But
I wait, I just got some nuggets for me. Thank you.
you're welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome. That is
Mm,
what I'm here for. Okay.
that's-
So, where can people find you? What are your socials and what is your website?
Ooh, so our website is Studio D, like decor, contract.com, studiodcontract.com. And our socials, actually, all the studio's handles is at Studio D Contract Finishes across
Awesome. And
platforms.
I'll have that in the show notes so that you guys can click on these links. You can follow her. You can hire her because she's fabulous and amazing. Yes, yes.
Thank you, darling.
Yes. And Rhonda, I just want to say thank you again for coming on the show. And to my audience, thank you guys again for listening to Leslie and Lily, the marketing podcast that you didn't even know that you needed. Don't forget, you guys, I have a marketing course. And if you have signed up for my newsletter, there is a lovely little code that you get that will give you half off the marketing course. And what this does is it is a self study course. Okay. So you get to understand how to market yourself from A to Z. Like, who are you? What is your unique selling point? Who are your customers? Where are they online? And how do you get them to stop scrolling? I have it in the course. You should go buy it. Just saying, just saying. All right. So I will see you guys next week. Hugs and kisses, all good wishes. Bye.